Tallchief took what had been a European art form and made it America's own. How fitting that a Native American woman would do that.
I think by now everybody knows my father was an Osage Indian. My mother was Scotch-Irish, a determined pioneer lady. We moved from Fairfax when I was about 7 or 8 years old. By that time, Shirley Temple had come along, you know, and by this time my sister had come along, and we were already dancing on our toes and spinning and dancing at rodeos and the Star-Spangled Banner, the whole business. And Mother decided, everybody in Fairfax said, oh, well, you have to go to Hollywood. Mother thought my sister and I were going to be 2 new Shirley Temples. Of course, as you can see, I look a lot like Shirley Temple. Mother tried her best. Every night those curls were up there. Anyway, thank goodness we moved to Los Angeles. I went to get a hamburger, which cost, to my horror, 15 cents. In Fairfax, they were only a nickel. Mother, in the meantime, went to a drugstore nearby and asked the druggist if there was a good ballet school around. It's a wonderful way to start your career in the drugstore.
At 15, Maria landed one of the lead roles in Nijinsky's Chopin Concerto. She received her first favorable review.
And that was, my debut was with Sid Charisse in Chopin Concerto before 25,000 people at the Hollywood Bowl. One had always heard of the fabled Paris Opera, and to stand on that stage and look out into the audience, to me it was like a miracle. It was something I had always dreamed that I would be doing, and there I was.
That Maria's performance was the first time an American danced at the Paris Opera in over 100 years.
And the next day in the paper, in the headlines, daughter of American Indian, this was in French of course, dances before the King of Sweden. It's funny how you can suddenly just remember something. I remember that very clearly.
Madame Pavlova? Yes? I'm Annette Kellerman. Indeed, I know, my dear. I have watched your performance. Well, all I wanted to tell you is that, well, all my life I've wanted to be able to dance like you. You've studied for the ballet? Yes. My dear, don't ever think that your studies have been in vain. Your act is wonderful. You have applied your ballet training to something new and different. They tell me there is only one Pavlova. But from what I have seen, they may someday say the same thing about you. There is only one Annette Kellerman.
The pas de deux from the Flower Festival of Genzano, and dancing with one of the world's leading ballerinas, Maria Tallchief, is Rudolph Nureyev, making his American debut.
A silent film with music added manages to convey the beauty of Tallchief in her signature role as the Firebird.
At the pas de deux, right from the beginning of the pas de deux, I do an arabesque toward him, going toward the corner, that's the audience, and I steadily do what I call, in my Oklahoma terms, a back layout, glissade, and leap back, and my head with the big feather on it hits the floor. The feather touches the floor lightly. Suddenly the audience went, ah!
The audience was screaming bravas to Tallchief, and one man near me in the balcony just kept yelling, "Tallchief, Tallchief, Tallchief!" He wanted the world to know.
And the curtain came down, and suddenly the city center sounded like a stadium after a football game, after somebody's made a touchdown. It was unbelievable. Screaming, yells of bravo, this and that, you know. And nobody had practiced any bows. We didn't know who was supposed to bow or when we were supposed to bow. There's a wonderful picture showing George and me coming out in front of the curtain at the very end to acknowledge the applause. And as Balanchine said many years later to my daughter when we danced it out here, when I danced it with our company out here, he said, you know, this was the first great success of the New York City Ballet. And your mother was wonderful in it. That's the first time I've ever heard George say anything nice about my dancing. So.
One pirouette, then he would catch my wrist and turn me around once more to go into arabesque. And if the timing was off, if he didn't catch my wrist properly, or if I was late, which I hope I never was, it could have been a disaster. And that's when Balanchine, when I was sort of complaining a little bit, oh George, this is so difficult, he said, must be like ballroom dance.
And the pas de deux of the Return to Earth is a passionate affair in which Eurydice is delighted to be reunited with her husband, but she's appalled that he won't look at her. In the main, it is a dance of dramatic despair.
After I married Henry Buzz Paschen and found that we were going to have a child, I was just so very happy. It was a wonderful moment in my life when she arrived.
This is my daughter, Elise Paschen, as she writes. Her title is Tallchief in Orpheus. Mother, when I was young, I watched you from the wings and saw the sweat dripping from arms and neck, your gasp for breath. I thought it was your last, but no. You'd towel off and then step back into the spotlight, smiling. Elise Paschen.